alien, I'm everyone's friend. Whichever world I go, I just blend. All languages I speak, no doubt I'm so unique. I listen to their stories, I share some of mine. And when I gain some knowledge, my antenna shines. I am an alien, I'm everyone's friend.
The Fighting Cocks and the Eagle. One day, as Gugu was passing through the woods, it saw the peacock and bowed low as if to exchange pleasantries. But the peacock was too full of itself and did not respond. It was holding its head high in the air and was walking around, proudly showing off its beautiful feathers. A crow that was sitting on a nearby tree happened to witness all of this and went up to Gugu and asked why the peacock was suddenly behaving that way. Gugu did not look one bit disturbed and said that pride goes before destruction, and we do not know for what such reason the peacock was behaving the way it did. The crow did not seem to understand and asked Gugu to elaborate on what he meant. Gugu tells a story to the crow to make it understand. Once upon a time, there were two cocks who were arch rivals. They would just not stand the sight of each other and were filled with hatred. They were gamecocks and had their own set of supporters who pepped them up during each game. It so happened that they once began to fight fiercely for the mastery of the farmyard. One at least defeated the other and was very proud about it. The defeated cock sulked away and hid himself in a quiet corner, unable to face the victorious cock. On the other hand, the cock that conquered the farmyard was extremely joyous and wanted to show off his victory. So it flew up to a high wall, flipped its wings and crowed loudly with all its might to celebrate its victory and exclaim its happiness to the others around it. But little did it know that it was inviting trouble for itself and that its end was near. An eagle was sailing through the air at such time when the cock was crowing loudly. The eagle was in search of food as it was rather hungry. On hearing the cock's crowing, the eagle was happy to have found its prey. It soon stooped below and carried off the cock in his talons. The vanquished cock, on the other hand, was safe in his hiding. After having witnessed what had happened, it immediately came out of its corner and took over the farmyard. Henceforth, it ruled over with undisputed mastery over the fertile land. It was the foolish cock who, due to its own pride, invited its destruction. The crow thanked Gugu for making it understand how one's pride could actually lead to its own destruction. Foolish Crane and the Mongoose. Once the rats in the forest were discussing about how to get rid of the cats, and they approached Gugu, who was by now known for its wisdom, for help. Gugu began to tell them a story. There was a huge banyan tree beside a lake which nested a number of cranes. In the hollow at the foot of the tree lived a poisonous black snake. He used to climb up and eat the crane's younger ones after they were hatched. One of the cranes who had lost her children to the cunning black snake started to weep on the banks of the lake. A tortoise who was nearby heard the crane weeping and asked as to why it was crying. The crane told the tortoise that she was an unlucky mother as all her children were being eaten by the wicked black snake who lived in the hollow of the tree. It was feeling helpless that it could not kill the snake and thus was crying. The tortoise thought for a while and then devised a plan to have the black snake killed. The tortoise thus told the crane to stop crying and asked it to scatter some fish and flesh around a nearby burrow where a mongoose lived. The crane asked as to how this would help, and the tortoise explained that the mongoose would come following the food and reach the snake's home. As the snake and mongoose are always natural enemies, he will kill the snake certainly. The crane agreed to do as suggested by the tortoise and did accordingly. As anticipated, the mongoose saw the snake while following the trail of food. They had a fight between themselves, and as expected, the mongoose killed the snake. But after this, the mongoose also realized that there were many young cranes atop the trees. So in due course of time, the mongoose climbed up the trees and started killing the cranes until such time that they were all destroyed. Having told this story, Gugu advised the rats that while it is important to find a solution to a problem, one must also bear in mind that one problem should not lead to another. So Juju told them to be careful on how they planned to execute the eradication of cats. The Foolish Mouse. It was a warm summer morning when Gugu set out in the woods, and he came across a crow who was hiding between the leaves in a tree and peeping at something below. When asked what it was that he was looking at, the crow put up a sad face and said that he secretly admires the peacock as he has such beautiful feathers and looks so handsome. To make the crow understand why one should not go by the looks, Gugu tells him a story. Once upon a time, there was a mouse who wanted to see the outside world as it had spent all its life inside its home. He had always wondered what it looked like outside. So he decided to go out and explore the unknown world. He set out from his house and kept walking. On the way, he saw many things that he had never seen before. After a while, he reached a farm which had many different animals. He looked at them all, but two animals gained his attention in particular. One was an animal with colourful feathers and a big beak. The mouse thought it would eat him up and got scared. He thus ran and quickly hid himself behind a bush. While in hiding, he sees another animal who is beautiful and fluffy with soft hair. Thus the mouse also returns home, thinking in his mind that he should come the next day. He wanted to make friends with the animal who looked nice to him. After reaching home, he narrates all the adventures of his day to his friends and family. He tells them what a beautiful farm he had seen and how many different animals there were there in it. He told them about the two interesting animals that he had met. He went on to explain how one looked very scary while the other one looked rather friendly. While all the mice were hearing this, an old mouse tells him what a fool he has been in going by their looks. The old mouse explains that the animal which the younger mouse claims to be scared of was a rooster and actually unharmful. He also tells the mouse that the other friendly-looking animal was a cat, and if he were to have gone any nearer, it might just have caught him in a minute, killed him and feasted on him. The young mouse thanked God to have kept him alive, considering how his foolishness could have ended his life. From that day on, he remembered that looks could be deceptive. The crow thanked Gugu for having made him realize that looks could be deceptive indeed. The Fox and the Cat. One afternoon, the fox and Gugu were strolling in the woods when the fox told how it had learned the importance of clarity of thought. The fox told Gugu about another fox who was his friend and a cat who had gone walking together. The fox had started by boasting that it was prepared for any situation and that it had a whole bag of tricks to choose from if its enemies tried to chase him. The cat, however, confessed that it was afraid that it only had one trick, but that it was always smart. This fox could not accept it and called the cat dumb by saying that the fox had hundreds of ways as against the cat's only way of escape. However, the cat firmly believed that it was good to have one time-tested method that worked flawlessly instead of having too many choices to choose from and get confused. The fox concluded that the cat was not as smart as himself. As they were still talking, they noticed a few dogs coming to chase them, and the cat climbed up a nearby tree. Sitting on top of the tree, it said that it was its trick and asked the fox to dig into its bag of tricks and execute it soon enough not to be caught by the dogs. The fox was confused whether it should run behind the nearest hedge or if it should jump down the burrow. In the meantime, the dogs got closer and closer. Without stopping, the fox started to run around the field looking for a burrow. It came across a burrow but found it too small. It thought that it cannot get down far enough and the dogs would be able to reach for it. So it continued to run helter-skelter looking for another burrow. This time it came across a bigger burrow, but the fox thought that if it gets into it, the dogs also could get into it and kill it. In all this while, the cat sat safely on the tree and continued to watch all that was happening on the ground. The cat felt that the fox was indeed wasting its time, confusing itself over its choices, while the dog caught up with it and killed it. It was feeling sorry for the fox, thinking that it would have been better for the fox to have had one safe way to escape, rather than hundreds to choose from and get confused. Thus the fox explained that though it was at the cost of losing a friend, it had learned that it is best to have one thought and stick by it, rather than having too many choices and get confused. The Fox and the Donkey. Gugu seems to be finding everything around very strange, and when it is staring aimlessly around itself, a bear approaches it and asks about its whereabouts. They pick up a conversation, and Gugu asked how truthful the people of this land are, to which the bear puts up a sad face and tells how deceiving people tend to get, but eventually learn their lesson. One day, a donkey was walking through the woods aimlessly. It was very bored and did not know what to do. While it was roaming around, it saw something that looked familiar at a distance. It went closer and saw that it was the skin of a dead lion. It looked around but did not see anyone. Bored as it was, it decided to wear the lion skin and have some fun. So it wore the skin of the lion and went all around the forest pretending to be a lion. All the animals who saw him got scared of him, thinking that he were a lion, and fled from its sight in terror. The donkey was very delighted at his success and continued scaring everyone throughout the forest. His boredom was gone, and he had found out an exciting way to pass time. While this prank continued for a few days, he came across a fox one day. In all his confidence to trick the fox, he drew closer to the fox. The fox noticed the walk of the donkey, and it did not find it as majestic as the lion. It found something fishy. So instead of running away, the fox stood where it was without any fear. When the donkey saw this, it was not pleased. It went closer still to the fox and tried scaring it away by imitating the roar of a lion. But the clever fox identified that this was indeed a donkey in a lion's skin and not the lion himself. The fox started giggling uncontrollably and told the donkey that his devious tricks would not work with him. The fox told the donkey that if he had not brayed like a donkey, then he would have perhaps ended up believing his mischief. It was now too late though. The donkey realized his mistake. So the bear concluded that it is very important that they do not disguise their true self and lie to ones around them. It also tells Gugu that everyone must remember that cheating and trickery will only bring them harm in the end.